Chapter 2, From the Dutch Revolution to the Russian October Revolution, 1566–1917. August 1566, opening the struggle of the nobility and people of Netherland against the domination of Spain. January 23, 1579, representatives of the northern provinces of Netherland met in Utrecht, declared unification of the currency and measurement system, military organization and foreign policy, advancing towards establishing a republic with the name Republic of the United Provinces, marking the initial victory of the Dutch Revolution. 1639. The policy of closing the country and ports of the Tokugawa shogunate expelled the Portuguese and Spanish from Japan. January 4, 1638. Exploration in North America. The Dutch-origin navigator Minuit, serving the Swedish court, crossed the ocean with 50 Swedish people to the mouth of the Delaware River in North America, established the New Sweden territory, and built a fort named after Queen Christian. But the Swedish-Dutch War, 1655, brought this territory into Dutch hands, ending the Swedes' effort to settle in the new land. January 4, 1642, birth of Newton, 1642–1727, English astronomer, physicist, mathematician, and philosopher. August 22, 1642, outbreak of the First Civil War, 1642–1646, by the bourgeois republic state, led by Cromwell in opposition to the monarchy of the Stuart dynasty, headed by Charles the 1643, Reform dynasty in France. Louis XIV, 1638–1715, ascended the throne of France at age 5. From 1643 to 1661, the Regency ruled, encouraged the development of industry and commerce, strengthened monarchical power, conducted many wars in Europe. At the same time, the state strengthened the organization of the central government apparatus, strengthened the economy. July 2, 1644. Marston Moor victory. Victory of the Ironside Army commanded by Cromwell at Marston Moor, marking a turning point in the First Civil War, 1642–1646, favorable to the revolutionary forces. June 14, 1645, Naseby victory. Cromwell's victory at the Battle of Naseby forced King Charles V to flee to Scotland and be captured there. The battle had a decisive character for the outcome of the First Civil War in 1642–1648. October 18, 1647, Levellers faction announced the agreement of the people, the political program of the Levellers faction in Uft, led by Lilburne, 1616–1657, demanded universal suffrage, election of parliament, establishment of legal unions, freedom of religion, freedom of business, abolition of all privileges of the church, public land. Supported by the masses and the Revolutionary Army. February 1648 to August 1648, Second Civil War, revolutionary forces of Cromwell defeated the conservative forces of King Charles III. January 4, 1649, abolition of monarchy. Parliament declared the abolition of the feudal absolute monarchy. Established a court to try King Charles I. January 30, 1649. Execution of King Charles I. King Charles I was executed with the main crime of opposing the people, destroying the country, suppressing justice. 1642–1649. May 19, 1649, Republic regime. Established the Republic regime in 1649–1653 under the leadership of Cromwell. August 1649, invasion of Ireland. Cromwell conducted the War of Invasion of Ireland, 1649–1650. In 1652, issued the law on the regime in Ireland, established English domination on the island. 1649–1651, Diggers movement. Movement of the Diggers faction led by Winstanley, 1609–1657, demanding the abolition of private ownership and restoration of communal ownership under the slogan, "The land of England belongs to the common people." Advocated land reclamation to build communal villages in a society without exploitation, with the belief, "By love and patience, we will win." 1650, Cromwell conducted the War of Invasion of Scotland, 1650–1652. 1652, Navigation Act of its Anglo-Dutch War, 1652–1654, forced the Netherlands to accept the Navigation Act, 1651, of stipulating that England only accepted goods carried by English ships or ships of the country owning the goods. The Netherlands was excluded from the position of sea carrier. The Anglo-Dutch War also occurred the second time, 1665, 1667, and the third time, 1672, 1674, establishing the dominant position. December 16, 1653, Protectorate regime. Cromwell declared the establishment of a dictatorial rule under the name Lord Protector, 1653, 1658, ending the Republic regime. 1660, restoration of the Stuart dynasty. Son of King Charles V, returned to England, ascending the throne as King Charles II, 1630, 1685, restoring the Stuart dynasty. April 28, 1686. Newton, English scholar, presented the work Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, the Foundation of Classical Science. November 1688, Glorious Revolution in William of Orange, 1650-1702, Governor of the Netherlands, son-in-law of English King James II, was brought into England, removing King James II, seizing the throne, as William III, 1689-1702. English history calls this the Glorious Revolution, the result of a compromise between the bourgeoisie and the land-owning nobility, establishing a constitutional regime. January 18, 1689, birth of Charles Montesquieu, 1689-1766, French writer, historian, utopian socialist who laid the foundation for the theory of separation of powers in the work, The Spirit of the Laws. February 1689, constitutional monarchy regime. English Parliament passed the Bill of Rights, stipulating the rights of Parliament and the leading thinkers. The King's power was limited, only having symbolic significance. The Bill of Rights laid the foundation for the constitutional monarchy regime. November 19, 1711, birth of Mikhail Lomonosov, 1711-1765, Russian poet, linguist, scholar, founder of Moscow University. 1750. Alaungpire established the Konbaung dynasty in Myanmar, the most prosperous dynasty of this country. March 26, 1757, English army defeated the Bengal army, supported by France in the Battle of Plassey, India, marking a turning point in the 7 Years' War, 1756-1763, between England and France to compete for India. The Paris Peace Treaty, 1763, stipulated that France only had 5 small coastal cities in India. England gradually monopolized this vast nation. December 16, 1773, Boston Tea Party. North American people in Boston port threw 343 chests of tea from English ships into the sea to protest the tax policy and trade monopoly of the English. This event signaled that the revolution against the English colonial regime in North America was inevitable. 1774, Louis XIII, 1754-1792, ascended the throne as king. The French feudal regime fell into a serious crisis, leading to the 1789 revolution. September 5, 1774, opening of the First Continental Congress in North America, consisting of 56 delegates from 12 colonies, except Georgia, issued the declaration denouncing violations of complaints, demanding the abolition of many laws of the colonial regime, expressing the spirit ready to rise up to gain independence. April 19, 1775, Lexington victory of North American militia destroying 200 English soldiers, opening armed forces in the colonies to prepare for the war to gain independence. May 10, 1725, opening of the Second Continental Congress in North America, decided to establish a national army, commanded by G. Washington, 1732-1799, officially conducting the war against the colonial regime. July 2, 1776, Continental Congress in North America passed the Declaration of Independence, drafted by a committee of 5 members, mainly Thomas Jefferson. July 4, 1726, announcement of the United States Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The colonies severed all allegiance and became independent nations. 1767, 1782, Friar Taksin drove out the Burmese army, liberated the country, moved the capital to Thonburi, named the country Kingdom of Siam, expanded into Cambodian and Laotian territories. April 30th, 1777, birth of Carl Friedrich Gauss, 1777–1855, German physicist, astronomer, mathematician. He solved works on celestial mechanics, probability statistics theory, magnetism, electromagnetism, and optics. October 17th, 1777, Saratoga victory of North American militia brought the War for Independence of North America to the offensive phase. France officially recognized North America, making the international position of the American People's Forces. March 13th, 1781, William Herschel, German-origin English astronomer, discovered the planet Uranus. October 19th, 1781, G. Washington launched an attack on Yorktown, forcing General Cornwallis and 8,000 elite troops to surrender. March 1782, England had to conduct negotiations to end the war. April 20th, 1782, Siam General Chow Phraya Chakri advanced to the capital Thonburi, establishing a new dynasty there, ascending the throne as King Rama I. The capital moved to Bangkok downstream of the Chao Phraya River. September 3rd, 1783, signing of the Paris Peace Treaty, England recognized the independence of the colonies in North America, ceded to the United States the western Mississippi River area, and returned Florida to Spain, marking the complete victory of the War for Independence in North America, 1774–1781. 1784, James Watt, 1736–1819, completed the invention of the steam engine, the starting point of the 18th century Industrial Revolution. On his grave in Westminster is engraved the line, "Man has multiplied the strength of muscles manifold." May 25, 1787, opening of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, consisting of delegates from the states of the United States, presided over by Washington. September 27, 1787, United States Constitutional Convention ratified the draft Federal Constitution. The states will proceed to ratify, and when there is agreement from 9 states, the Constitution will officially take effect. March 3, 1789. April 30, 1789. Based on the Federal Constitution, Washington solemnly took the oath of office as the first President of the United States, organizing the apparatus in 2 terms, 1789–1797. John Adams was elected Vice President. May 5, 1789. Opening of the Estates General in France, consisting of representatives of the clergy, nobility, and Third Estate, presided over by King Louis XVI, opening the fierce struggle between the Third Estate, bourgeoisie, peasants, artisans, with the king and the feudal regime, leading to the uprising of July 14, 1789, in Paris. July 14, 1789, People's Uprising in Paris stormed and destroyed the Bastille prison, opening the French bourgeois revolution, overthrowing the feudal absolute monarchy. August 26, 1789, announcement of the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, with the motto, Liberty, Equality, Fraternity. August 27, 1791, Emperor Leopold II and Prussian King Wilhelm II signed an alliance against France, preparing war to suppress the French bourgeois revolution. September 13, 1791, announcement of the 1791 Constitution of France after the bourgeois revolution, establishing a constitutional monarchy, issuing suffrage with strict conditions, not meeting the aspirations of the masses. 1791, uprising in Haiti, French colony since 1697, of black slaves led by Toussaint Louverture, demanding the abolition of slavery and granting equality rights. August 10, 1792, People's Uprising in Paris demanding a constitutional regime, deposing Louis XVI from the throne, establishing the Girondin government from 8/10/1792 to 6/2/1793. August 19, 1792, Austro-Prussian coalition crossed the border into France, beginning the war against the French bourgeois revolution, 1792–1794. September 20, 1792, Valmy victory of the French army against the Austro-Prussian coalition. September 21, 1792. Declared the abolition of the Bourbon dynasty, establishing the First Republic in France, 1792, 1804. January 21, 1793, King Louis XVI was executed according to the decision of the French National Convention. Court, March 1793. The Vendée rebellion of the reactionary feudal nobility against the revolution failed. June 2, 1793, People's uprising in Paris overthrew the Girondins government, established the Jacobins government, 6-2-1793, 7-27-1794. July 13, 1793, Marat, 1743-1793, prominent and steadfast activist of the French Revolution, was assassinated. June 3, 1793, Jacobins government issued the land law, dividing land into small plots sold to peasants with payments over 10 years, embodying the slogan, "Land belongs to the peasants." June 24, 1793, Constitution stipulating the Republic regime, implementing universal suffrage, issuing many democratic freedoms for the people. But this constitution was not implemented because, at that time, France was in an emergency state due to internal enemies and external invaders. June 26, 1794, Fleurus victory of the French army against the European coalition, Austria, Prussia. This event decided the victory of the French Revolution. July 6, 1794, the Coup of Nine. Thermidor overthrew the Jacobins government. July 28, 1794, the head of the Jacobins dictatorship, Robespierre, was killed by the Thermidor coup faction. October 27, 1795, established the Directory regime, Directoire 1795-1799, in France. 1796 to 1797, victories of Napoleon Bonaparte in the Italian campaign. Northern Italy, 1798 to 1799, landing of Napoleon Bonaparte's army in Egypt, advancing into the Nile River and Pyramid area, but besieged by Nelson's English fleet, so had to abandon. November 9, 1799, the coup of 18 Brumaire, fog month in France, ended the consulate regime, 1799 to 1804, headed by Napoleon Bonaparte. 1799, Volta, 1745-1827, Italian physicists successfully created the first electric battery. February 26, 1802, birth of Victor Hugo, 1802-1885, French writer, poet, playwright, parliamentarian, author of many famous works, especially gigantic novels. After death, his remains were brought to the Pantheon, Paris. 1803, trial run of a steam locomotive on a 15-kilometer railway in 4 hours in France, created by Richard Trevithick. 1804-1850. The shogunate government closed seaports, not allowing English, French, American, Russian countries into Japan for trade. In 1842, only allowed ships to dock in Nagasaki, but only trade with the Netherlands and China. March 21, 1804, Consul Napoleon Bonaparte announced the Civil Code, a part of the Napoleonic Code, including civil, criminal, commercial laws, the model code of the bourgeois state. May 18, 1804, French Senate acclaimed Napoleon Bonaparte to the throne as emperor, as Napoleon the Harsumus establishing the First Empire, 1804-1815. 1804-1814. Napoleon III expanded the War of Conquest in Europe, gained victories at Austerlitz, 1802, Jena, 1806, Friedland, 1807, Wagram, 1809, and occupied Spain, 1808-1813. Defeated in the attack on Russia in 1812. European coalition counterattacked into Paris, 1814. April 2, 1805, birth of Anderson, 1805-1875. Danish writer specializing in famous fairy tales. 1807. First steamship in America created by Robert Fulton, transporting goods on the Hudson River. 1809. Birth of Charles Darwin, 1809-1882. English scholar who proposed the theory of natural selection of species, Darwin's theory. August 7, 1812. Battle of Borodino in Russia between French army commanded by Napoleon and Russian army commanded by Kutuzov. Unfavorable battle, besides Napoleon I's defeats on the European battlefield. April 6, 1814. Before the European coalition's attack on Paris, French Senate forced Napoleon Mass to abdicate and be exiled to Elba Island, 4 1814 to 2 1815. June 4, 1815, Louis XVIII, 1755-1824, returned as King of France, announced the charter restoring the Bourbon feudal dynasty, opening the Restoration period, including two phases: 4 1814, 5 1815 and 7 1815, 7 1830. February 26, 1815. Napoleon Bonaparte from Elba Island led troops landing in France, advancing to Paris, 3/20 1815, returned to power in the 100 Days period, 3 1815 to 6 1815. June 9, 1815, signing of the Vienna Treaty between the victorious countries in the Napoleonic War to prevent the restoration of France, stipulating France's borders as in 1792, redistributing part of European territory and colonies, establishing the Holy Alliance. June 18, 1815, Battle of Waterloo, leading to the complete defeat of the French army commanded by Napoleon. European War. Napoleon was exiled to St. Helena Island, Atlantic, and died there, 1821, September 26, 1815. Signing of the treaty establishing the Holy Alliance, Russia, Austria, Prussia, on the basis of Christian countries to unite against the bourgeois revolutionary and national liberation movements in Europe. Austrian Foreign Minister Metternich controlled this organization. November 1815. Established the Quadruple Alliance, Russia, Austria, Prussia, to prevent the restoration of the Napoleonic dynasty and suppress revolutionary movements in Europe. May 5, 1818. Birth of Karl Marx, founder of the doctrine of scientific socialism, leader of the world proletariat. January 1, 1820. Outbreak of the Second Spanish Revolution, 1820-1823, conducted under the leadership of Colonel Rafael Riego against the court of King Ferdinand VII, forcing the king to swear allegiance to the 1812 Constitution, issued in the First Revolution, 1808-1814. The Holy Alliance sent French troops to suppress, restoring the Spanish monarchy. November 28, 1820. Birth of Friedrich Engels, 1820-1895, who together with Karl Marx built the doctrine of scientific socialism, leader of the world proletariat. January 22, 1830. Revolution broke out in France against the absolute monarchy, opening the 1830 bourgeois revolutionary climax. The 1830 revolution, victorious in France, spread to Belgium, Italy, Germany, Poland, Switzerland, aiming to oppose the monarchy, build a constitutional monarchy. December 6, 1823. American President Monroe declared the principle "America for Americans" as the basis for Pan-Americanism. The U.S. will intervene in any European power's interference in American countries as an act of war against the United States. August 1, 1824. Nang Klao ascended the throne as king of the Kingdom of Siam, as Rama III elected according to the law of father to son of the royal family. During his reign, the Kingdom of Siam was protected from Western invasions, mainly against English colonial expansion. December 14, 1825. Uprising in Petersburg of the Decembrist Society, consisting of progressive nobles against the autocratic Tsarist regime, February 23, 1826. Birth of Lobachevsky, 1792-1856, Russian mathematician who presented the theory of non-Euclidean geometry. July 27 to July 29, 1830. Revolution in Paris overthrew King Charles I, Bourbon dynasty, established the July monarchy, 1830-1848. French history calls it the Three Glorious Days. 1830-1848, Louis-Philippe, 1733-1850, ascended the throne as king, established the July monarchy in France, 1830-1848. 1831. Michael Faraday, 1791-1867, physicist, presented the theory of electromagnetic induction. April 14, 1831. Declaration of the Spanish Republic. Due to the victory of the Republicans in the 1831 election, King Alphonse III had to leave the country, refused to abdicate. June 13, 1831. Birth of James Clerk Maxwell, 1831-1879, physicist, who presented the electromagnetic theory of light. November 21 to December 3, 1831. Lion uprising of French weavers with the slogan, "Live with work or die in battle." 1832. established the Young Italy organization consisting of revolutionary Democrats like Mazzini, Garibaldi, struggling for the unification of Italy. 1832-1847, uprising of Abdelkader in Algeria against French colonial invasion. June 6, 1832, uprising in Paris of Republican and Democratic forces against the July monarchy in France. October 23, 1833, birth of Alfred Nobel, 1833-1893, Swedish chemist, versatile engineer, who invented dynamite and outstanding works in literature, science, chemistry, physics, biology, used contributions to the cause of protecting peace, Nobel Prize. January 1, 1834, established the German Customs Union consisting of 18 small states in Germany, participating to organize common kingdom administration. April 13 to April 15, 1834, uprising of weavers in the city of Lyon, the second time, against the oppression of owners, aiming to demand improvement of living conditions. April 1834, established the Young Germany organization aiming to struggle for the Republic, abolish the absolute monarchy, implement political and social equality. June 1836, established the London Working Men's Association, aiming to struggle for universal suffrage for workers. Leaders were William Lovett, Henry Hetherington, Henry Vincent. Initiated the Chartist movement in 1836-1848. 1836, established the League of the Just, revolutionary organization of German workers and progressive Democrats in Germany, presenting the slogan, "All people are brothers," containing many novel and utopian views. Predecessor of the Communist League. June 27, 1836, death of Rouget de Lisle, 1760-1836, French officer, author of the War Song of the French Army, 1792, later renamed La Marseillaise and became the national anthem of France. February 1837, uprising of Oshio Heihachiro in Osaka, Japan, aiming against the Tokugawa shogunate supported by peasants. June 2, 1838, leader of the London Working Men's Association. Lovett presented the People's Charter consisting of 6 points. Everyone has the right to vote from age 21 upwards. Secret ballot. Equal division of electoral districts in the country. Annual parliamentary elections. Abolition of property conditions for candidates. Allowances for MPs. February 1839. First Chartist convention convened in London consisting of 53 delegates elected by workers discussing measures to struggle for suffrage. May 1839. Peak of the Chartist movement in Trille. Submitted to Parliament a petition with 125,000 workers' signatures. Rejected ending Phase 1 of the movement, 1836-1839. June 1839. Lin Zexu, Imperial Commissioner of the Qing dynasty in Guangzhou, decided to confiscate all opium, 20,000 chests, on foreign merchant ships to destroy, preventing the risk of smuggling and flooding the Chinese people. Imperialist countries used this as a pretext to conduct the Opium War invading China. June 1840. English warships bombarded the coasts of Guangzhou, Fujian, Xiamen, Dinghai, opening the war of invasion of China called the Opium War. May 2nd, 1842. London workers' representatives submitted to Parliament a petition with 3,315,172 signatures demanding democratic reforms of the proletariat. Chartist movement in 1842-1848. August 1842, Nanjing Treaty. Sino-British ended the Opium War conducted by the English, after occupying Hong Kong as a base, had to compensate damages to England, forced to concede many other rights to capitalist countries, the first step in the process of turning China into a semi-colony. 1844, Mizuno Revolution, Japan, aiming to overcome the serious crisis, but the Tokugawa shogunate implemented savings encouraging crafts, prohibiting obscene games, descriptions or negative services, prohibiting prostitutes in public parks. The shogunate directly managed large cities Edo and around Osaka. The revolution brought benefits to the contemporary ruling class, opposed so not implemented. June 3, 1844, Silesian uprising of weavers in Germany demanding wage increases, reduced working hours, improved living conditions. July 1844, Guangxia Treaty Sino-American, similar to the Nanjing Treaty. August 1842. October 1844, Whampoa Treaty Sino-French, stipulating content similar to the Nanjing Treaty. 1846. Two American ships commanded by Perry arrived in Japan, demanding the shogunate open ports for trade. May 13, 1846. Mexican-American War, 5-1846 to 2-1848, forced Mexico to cede to America a vast territory, including the states of Texas, California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming. September 23, 1846. Johann Galle, 1812-1910, German astronomer, discovered the planet Neptune according to calculations by Leverrier. 1847. British government issued the law of 10-hour working day for women and children. January 17, 1847. Mathematician Nikolai Zhukovsky, 1847-1921, Russian, founder of the first Aeronautical Mechanics Institute in Europe, 1905. June 1847. Established the Communist League with the motto, "All countries unite." Marx and Engels joined the League, drafted the Communist Manifesto. January 24, 1848. Discovery of gold mines in the land belonging to California, USA. February 1848. First publication in London of the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx F. Engels, The Struggle Program of the Proletariat. February 24, 1848. Outbreak of the February Revolution in Paris, overthrowing the July monarchy, 7-1830 to 2-1848. May 4, 1848, declared the establishment of the Second Republic in France. February 25, 1848, established the Provisional Government in France as a result of the February 1848 Revolution. April 10, 1848, English workers submitted to Parliament a petition with 5,000 signatures, but rejected, ending the Chartist movement 1836-1848. It was the early massive revolutionary movement of the proletariat with mass character and political form. Lenin. March 15, 1848. Outbreak of revolution in Budapest, Hungary, under the leadership of poet Petőfi against the domination of the Austrian Habsburg court, establishing an independent Hungarian government. January 1849. Suppressed by Austrian troops. March 13 to March 15, 1848. Outbreak of March Revolution in Vienna, aiming against the autocratic government of Chancellor Metternich. The Habsburg court forced to concede, implement constitutional monarchy, democratic constitution, and conduct democratic reforms. March 14 to March 18, 1848. Outbreak of March Revolution in Berlin, Germany. Workers and people demonstrated demanding King Friedrich Wilhelm IV, Frederick William IV, the court concede, abandon democratic rights, political amnesty, establish labor ministry. Suppressed, leading to prolonged revolutionary struggle climax in the small kingdoms in Germany in 1848, June 12 to June 17, 1848. People's uprising in Prague aiming to liberate from the domination of the Austrian Habsburg court. June 23 to June 26, 1848, June uprising of Paris workers against the bourgeois government, aiming to overthrow the Second Social Republic and establish proletarian dictatorship, considered the first battle between bourgeoisie and proletariat, Marx. October 1 to October 6, 1848, October uprising in Vienna against the suppression of the Austrian government troops, completely defeated, November 1848. December 10, 1848. Louis Bonaparte was elected President of the French Second Republic. February 1849 to July 1849, established the Roman Republic, implementing some bourgeois democratic reforms. French-Austrian-Spanish alliance sent troops to suppress overthrowing the Republican government, ending the Revolutionary Movement, 1848-1849, in Italy. April 14, 1849, Hungary declared independence, separating from the domination of the Austrian Empire. January 1, 1851, Hong Xiuquan declared the establishment of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom and organized armed forces as the Taiping Army in Guangxi, China. April 1851. Mongkut ascended the throne as King of Siam, as Rama Thor, reigning for 17 years. 1851–1868, basis for reform direction, opening doors to contact and signing many trade treaties with the West. October 1852, trial of members of the Communist League. 1852–1853, second invasion war of English colonialists into Myanmar, occupying all southern provinces of this country. December 1652, Louis Bonaparte, President of the French Second Republic, 1848–1852, declared the establishment of the Second Empire, ascending the throne as Emperor as Napoleon III. 1853–1856, war between Russia and England, France. March 18, 1853, birth of Rudolf Diesel, 1853–1913, German engineer who created the internal combustion engine, diesel engine. March 1853, Taiping rebel army occupied Nanjing and made it the capital, called Heavenly Capital. June 1853, Perry commanded 4 American warships into Edo Bay, delivering the U.S. President's letter to the shogunate government, inviting to open Japanese seaports. March 31, 1853, Japan-U.S. treaty signed. Japan opened 2 seaports, Shimoda and Hakodate, for American ships to get food, fresh water, and temporary consulate there. Subsequently, Japan signed similar treaties with England, Russia, France, Netherlands. 1855, established the Republican Party in the United States. May 6, 1856, birth of Peary, American polar researcher, first to reach the North Pole, died 1920. 1856–1860, Second Opium War forced the Qing to sign the Tianjin Treaty, 1858, and Beijing Treaty, 1860. China had to open more seaports, compensate war costs, allow free proselytizing. Western colonialists established management in China. May 11, 1857, opening the Indian peasant uprising by Indian soldiers rising against English colonialists in Delhi city, spreading to many areas, attracting large masses. However, due to lack of organization and alliance, the rebels suffered heavy defeats. India became an English colony. August 8, 1858, U.S.-Japan Treaty signed. Japan opened 5 seaports, Yokohama, Nagasaki, Niigata, Kobe Hakodate, and foreign regime had residence rights there. Tariffs agreed by both sides. Americans had freedom to proselytize, free trade, enjoyed most favored nation status. After that, Japan signed treaties with England, France, Russia, Netherlands, similar treaties. March 18, 1859, birth of Alexander Popov, 1859–1906, Russian engineer, inventor of radio. April 29, 1859, outbreak of Italian-Austrian War, 4–1859 to 3–1860. People of the Italian small kingdoms uprising against Austria, establishing the unified Kingdom of Italy, capital in northern Italy, central Italy. May 10, 1859, uprising of minstrel leader John Brown, 1800–1859, against slavery in America. January 4, 1860, uprising broke out in Palermo, spreading to Sicily Island, Italy. May 1860, Garibaldi commanded the 1,000 army consisting of guerrilla volunteers, leaving Genoa, crossing the sea to Sicily. Gaining victory, he became dictator of the island, implementing many democratic reforms, dividing nobles' land to peasants, issuing many regulations, encouraging free trade. 1860, invention of the refrigerator. January 13, 1861, Qing Emperor Xianfeng issued an edict for the Yang Wu movement, encouraging self-reliance, absorbing Western science and technology to strengthen power and develop business. The movement lasted from 1860 to 1895, but did not achieve results. February 19, 1861, Russian Tsar Alexander II approved the decree emancipating serfs, allowing them rights to free business, separate ownership and land. Enterprises had to pay landowners large redemption sums, while peasants still did not escape serfdom. Most significant, a non-thorough social revolution aiming to avoid peasant revolution. March 4, 1861. Abraham Lincoln took office as U.S. President, successfully conducted the war against secession, emancipated slaves in southern states, 1861-1864. April 14, 1865, he was assassinated. April 22, 1861, outbreak of civil war in America between North, South, 4-1861 to 4-1865. Civil war broke out due to contradictions between industrial capitalist northern states and slave-mining southern states of the American Federation. 1861. Established the Kingdom of Romania, liberated from the domination of the Ottoman Empire. January 4, 1863. U.S. President A. Lincoln declared emancipation of slaves in American states granted freedom. February 1863. English and French warships occupied Yokohama Port in Japan as naval base, 1863-1875. May 1863. Established the General German Workers' Association led by Ferdinand Lassalle. February 1864 to October 1864, Prusso-Austrian alliance conducted war against Denmark, gained victory. Vienna Treaty, October 1864, stipulated Denmark ceded to Prussia and Austria 2 regions, Holstein and Schleswig. April 28, 1864, established the International Red Cross according to the Geneva Convention. September 28, 1864, established the First International Workingmen's Association, 1864-1876, operating under the guidance of Karl Marx and F. Engels. December 18, 1865, U.S. Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, completely abolishing slavery throughout American territory. 1865. Appearance of the racist organization Ku Klux Klan in the United States. 1866. Austro-Prussian War broke out. Prussia withdrew from the German Confederation, recognized Prussia leading the new organization North German Confederation, 1867. December 1866. Mutsuhito, 1852-1912, ascended the throne as emperor, as Meiji Tenno, opening the Meiji Restoration era in Japan. April 17, 1867, passed the Constitution of the North German Confederation, consisting of 18 North German states and 3 free cities, Hamburg, Bremen, Lübeck. Important step towards unifying Germany. September 1867. Principalities of the anti-shogunate faction concentrated troops by emperor's order overthrowing the shogunate, declaring sacred royal restoration, restoring emperor's power, abolishing the shogunate regime. February 1867. Austrian Empire changed to Austro-Hungarian Empire. 1867. Garibaldi's march into Rome. 1867. Second Parliamentary Reform. 1867. Invention of reinforced concrete printing machine. January 3, 1868. Shogunate army defeated by Emperor's army in Kyoto. Shogunate headquarters Yoshinobu captured. Tokugawa government overthrown, ending 265 years of Tokugawa clan rule, 1603-1868. 1868. Chulalongkorn ascended the throne as King of Siam, as Rama V, 1868-1910, successfully implemented reforms. Land reform, administration, finance, industry and commerce, administrative apparatus reform, strengthened national defense, opened diplomacy with many Euro-American countries. March 1868. Japanese Emperor Meiji announced the 5 Articles Oath and Charter as constitutional documents, opening reforms in Japan. July 18, 1868. U.S. Congress passed the 14th Amendment to the Constitution to legalize citizenship regime and protect residence and citizenship rights of blacks, affirming the principle of equality before the law against racial discrimination and against slavery, prolonged in America. 1869. Zenobe Gramme, 1826-1901, Belgian scholar, created the direct current generator, prototype of modern generators. In 1871, he invented the electric motor. 1869, Mendeleev, 1834-1907, Russian chemist, invented the periodic table of chemical elements, named after him. August 7, 1869, established the German Social Democratic Workers' Party under the leadership of A. Bebel and Wilhelm Liebknecht. November 17, 1869, opening of the Suez Canal on Egyptian territory connecting the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea, 161 kilometers long. March 30, 1870, U.S. Congress passed the 15th Amendment stipulating universal suffrage for all American men regardless of color. For the first time, blacks had voting and candidacy rights. However, many southern states still issued separate laws restricting blacks and depriving blacks voting rights. April 22, 1870. Birth of Lenin, leader of the Russian proletariat and international communist movement, leader of the Russian October Revolution 1917, head of the Communist Party and Soviet state, founder of the Soviet Union. Died 1924. September 2, 1870. French Emperor Napoleon III besieged by German troops in Sedan forced to surrender. September 4, 1870. Revolution in Paris ended the Second Empire, established the Government of National Defense. Night 1870 to Weimar 1871, headed by Trochu, establishing the Third Republic, 1870-1940. January 18, 1871, ceremony establishing the German Empire at Versailles Palace, France. Prussian King Wilhelm II ascended the throne as Emperor of unified Germany consisting of 22 states and 3 free cities. January 1871, Otto von Bismarck, 1815-1898, held the position of Chancellor of Germany, originally Prime Minister cum Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Prussia, leader of the struggle to unify Germany. January 28, 1871, signing of Franco-German Armistice Treaty. France had to compensate 5 billion francs and cede to Germany 2 provinces, Alsace and Lorraine. February 17, 1871, Thiers, 1797-1877, took office as President of the French Republic Government, 1871-1873. March 7, 1871, Alexander Graham Bell, 1847-1922, American physicist, invented the simple telephone with 2 vibrating membranes and 1 electromagnet, resistance in closed circuit to transmit speech. March 18, 1871, revolution in Paris led by the Central Committee of the National Guard, government fled to Versailles. March 26, 1871, people of Paris conducted the first universal election to elect members of the Commune Council, the leading body of the revolution. March 28, 1871, established the Paris Commune Council, the first state of the proletariat. April 2, 1871. Paris Commune organized fighting against the counterattack of the Versailles government, protecting the revolutionary city. 4 1871, 5 1871. May 28, 1871. Paris Commune destroyed after 72 days of stubborn fighting against the Versailles government troops. May 1871. Gotha Congress, Germany, established the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany on the basis of merging the General German Workers' Association, LaSalle, and the German Social Democratic Workers' Party, Bebel, Liebknecht. 1871. German Parliament passed the special law initiated by Chancellor Bismarck, aiming to suppress the workers' movement outside the law, terrorizing workers and progressive democratic forces. 1873. Invention of the indicator machine. January 1, 1874, Queen Victoria's coronation as Queen of India, marking the completion of the conquest of India as a colony of the British Empire. 1875, Yantai Treaty, China, allowing English activities in Yunnan, Sichuan, Tibet, Gansu, Qinghai, allowed to enter trade in northeastern Chinese seaports. January 3, 1876, birth of Wilhelm Pieck, 1876-1960, activist of the German and World Communist Movement, first President of the German Democratic Republic. 1876, First International met in Philadelphia, USA, declared dissolution, ending 12 years of activity, 1864-1876, in the World Workers' Movement. 1879, Thomas Edison, 1847-1931, American electrician, invented the electric light bulb. 1879, French scholar Louis Pasteur, 1822-1895, discovered principles of vaccines. October 25, 1881, birth of Pablo Picasso, 1881-1973, Spanish painter and sculptor. His works mark the development process of 20th century modern painting, Blue Period, 1901 to 1904, Rose period, 1905 to 1907. Surrealism, 1926 to 1936. Impressionism, 1937. Picasso has great influence on many current artistic activities. 1882. Established the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy aiming against Russia and France. June 18, 1882. Birth of Georgy Dimitrov, 1882-1949, prominent activist in the international communist movement, first chairman of the People's Democratic Republic of Bulgaria. March 14, 1883. Karl Marx, leader of the international proletariat, founder of scientific socialism doctrine, passed away in London. 1884. Edison built the first power plant in New York, providing energy to light 10,164 light bulbs. April 24, 1884. Chancellor Bismarck declared the establishment of German Southwest Africa colony, now Namibia. May 11, 1884. Tianjin Treaty, Sino-French. The Qing recognized France's occupation and rule of Vietnam. June 17, 1884. Signing of French-Cambodian Treaty officially placing French colonial domination on Cambodia. 1885. Successful test of the first automobile. February 1885. Chancellor Bismarck declared the establishment of German East Africa colony. June 1885. Signing of Tianjin Treaty, Sino-French, recognizing French protectorate over Vietnam. The Qing withdrew all troops from Vietnam. December 28, 1885. Deadline for establishing the Indian National Congress in Bombay, marking the opening step for the struggle for independence and nation-building in India. 1885, 1886. Uprising against France in Kampot conducted by patriotic officials in Cambodia. February 1886. English colonialists completed the invasion of Burma, established English governor rule, and placed under the authority of the English viceroy in India. 1886. English colonialists merged the conquered small states on the Malay Peninsula into the Malay Federation, consisting of Perak, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, ruled by an English resident. May 1, 1886. Chicago workers, USA, conducted strike demanding implementation of 8-hour working day regime with the slogan, 8-hour working day, 8-hour rest, 8-hour study. Workers nationwide supported this struggle. Second International took May 1 as International Labor Day commemoration. February 1889. Announcement of Japanese Constitution determining constitutional monarchy regime. Emperor had great executive power. Parliament consisting of 2 houses, emphasizing subjects' duties to the emperor and fatherland. July 14, 1889. Congress establishing the Second International in Paris. July 1889. Construction of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, named after the author-engineer Gustave Eiffel. 300 meters high, becoming a famous landmark of France. March 1890. Otto Bismarck left the position of Chancellor of Germany. At the same time, Second International moved from Paris to Zurich, Switzerland. 1891. Struggle movement against France in Cambodia, led by Prince Sivotha. 1893. Patrick Laval, professor at Stockholm University, Sweden, completed the first steam turbine with 5 horsepower capacity. In 1900, he created a steam turbine with 30 horsepower capacity, equivalent to 280 kilowatts. October 3, 1893. Signing of French Siam Treaty, stipulating Siam government renounced all power over Laotian territory on the west bank of the Mekong River and islands on this river. France officially established domination in Laos. 1894. Established the Germain League organization aiming to sow reactionary ideas. August 1, 1894. Outbreak of Sino-Japanese War, 8-1894, 5-1895. 1895. 2 French brothers Lumière successfully conducted the first film screening, opening international cinema. May 17, 1895. Shimonoseki Peace Treaty, Sino-Japanese. China recognized Japan's influence in Korea, ceded to Japan Taiwan, Penghu, and compensated war costs. August 5, 1895. Engels, international communist leader, great comrade of Karl Marx, passed away. 1820-1895. January 23, 1896, German scholar Röntgen, 1845 and 1923, presented results of discovering X-rays. In 1901, he received Nobel Prize. March 1, 1896, French scholar Henri Becquerel, 1852-1908, discovered radioactivity of uranium. Received Nobel 1903. Father Edmund Becquerel, 1820-1891, invented spectral recording, and grandfather Antoine Becquerel, 1788-1878, author of many works on batteries, electrochemistry, and electromagnetism. May 15, 1896, London Treaty, England, France. On Siam issue, dividing spheres of influence, area west of Chao Phraya River under English influence, east under France. Siam autonomous in the middle reaches of the river. March 24, 1896, Alexander Popov used wireless to transmit 250 minutes the words Heinrich Hertz. March 1898, First Congress of the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party declared establishment, but no official program and statutes. April 28, 1898, U.S. government declared war on Spain, aiming to seize Spanish colonies in Latin America and Pacific. After victory 1210-1898, war ended. America gained victory. This was the first imperialist war aiming to annex colonies of America. June 11, 1898, Emperor Guangxu, China, following advice of Kang Youwei and Liang Qichao, issued the Wuxu Reform Decree, opening the 100 Days Reform. September 24, 1898, Empress Dowager Cixi ordered the arrest of Emperor Guangxu, ending 103 days of reform. 100 Days Reform. December 10, 1898, Paris Agreement on U.S.-Spanish War stipulating U.S. had ownership rights over Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, Philippines, and compensated $20 million. From here, Spain completely lost Latin America and Pacific. 1898, Rise of Peasant Yehetuan Uprising Movement, 1898-1900, in Shandong, Zili, northern China. Armed peasants allied with Manchu Qing to resist invasion. 1898-1902, French scholar Pierre Curie, 1859-1906, with wife Marie Sklodowska, 1867-1934, discovered radium. Twice Nobel Prize in 1903 and 1911. 1899, publication of the book Preconditions of Socialism and Tasks of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, Bernstein, presenting main theses on revisionism. 1899, U.S. Secretary of State John Hay called for implementing open-door policy in China, whereby countries ensured equality of rights in trade, competing invasions of China. Thus, America advantageously inserted into the vast market already occupied by other countries in China. 1899, Invention of the submarine. July 19, 1900, inauguration of the first underground electric railway in Paris. August 7, 1900, leader of the German Social Democratic Party Wilhelm Liebknecht passed away, 1826-1900. August 15, 1900, coalition army of 8 countries, England, Japan, Russia, France, USA, Germany, Italy, Austria, attacked Beijing to suppress the Yehetuan movement, destroying many cultural works, looting palaces. August 25, 1900, German poet, philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche passed away, 1844-1900. January 1, 1901, Vice President Theodore Roosevelt took office as president, replacing assassinated McKinley. He declared, "The United States pursues the Monroe Doctrine, in obvious cases forcing this country to use world police power. That is the basis of U.S. policy towards Latin American countries." September 7, 1901, Beijing Treaty between China and 8 empires suppressing Yehetuan. Qing had to compensate war costs, 450 million taels of silver paid over 39 years, 4% annual interest, demolish fortifications, demolish Dagu seaport fortresses, and a long Beijing road for foreign troops to station. Each country had a permanent force, and foreign countries established embassies in Beijing. Through this treaty, China truly became a semi-colony. 1901-1903, uprising of Laotian people in Savannakhet led by Pho Kadouat against France. 1901-1936, uprising of Laotian people in Bolavan Plateau, led by Ong Keo and Komadam against French colonial domination. December 10, 1901. First Nobel Prize Award ceremony organized in the century in Stockholm. The prize fund established according to the will of chemist Alfred Nobel, 1833–1896, for outstanding works in physics, chemistry, biomedical and peace prize. May 31, 1902. Vereeniging Treaty ended the war between English and Boers in South Africa. Before that, English troops occupied South Africa. 1903. Second Congress of the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party discussed the party's program and statutes. Split occurred between Bolshevik faction following Lenin's thought and Menshevik faction following Plekhanov and Martov's thought. November 3, 1903. Coup in Panama under U.S. support aiming to separate the Canal Zone sovereignty of the Republic of Colombia. Panama government signed with U.S. agreement leasing the Canal Zone, 8 kilometers wide on each canal bank, with $10 million initial and $250,000 annually. 1903. Wright brothers completed invention of manned airplane, flew 259 minutes and 59 seconds. 1903–1911. Rights recovery movement in China aiming against Manchu Qing surrender to imperialist countries, demanding implementation of unequal policy, boycotting foreign goods, encouraging national economy development. February 1904. Franco-Siamese Treaty. France withdrew troops from Chantaburi, recognized Siam's sovereignty and right bank of Mekong belonging to Luang Prabang area. Siam ceded to France some provinces on right bank of Mekong belonging to Cambodia, and two areas Trat, Dansei on Gulf of Thailand, promised not to bring troops or gunboats outside to northeastern Siam area bordering Laos. February 8, 1904. Japanese fleet suddenly attacked Russian fleet in Port Arthur, China, opening the Russo-Japanese War, 2–1904, 9–1905. 1905. Albert Einstein, 1879–1955, German physicist, Jewish origin, proposed relativity theory. January 9, 1905. Petersburg workers demonstrated before the Winter Palace suppressed by Tsarist troops. Bloody Sunday marking the start of the Russian bourgeois democratic revolution, 1905–1907. February 8, 1905. Established the Chinese Revolutionary Alliance, Chinese bourgeois political party, led by Sun Yat-sen, 1866–1925. The Alliance's program expressed in the work Three Principles of the People: national independence, people's rights freedom, people's livelihood happiness, aiming at four goals: overthrow Manchu court, restore China, establish republic, equal land rights. June 14, 1905. Mutiny on Russian battleship Potemkin, lasting to 6/25/1905. September 5, 1905. Portsmouth Peace Treaty Russo-Japanese, stipulating Japan occupied Port Arthur, Liaodong Peninsula, China, and South Manchurian Railway area, fishing rights in Vladivostok Sea, but Japan ceded to Russia in Korea and had to compensate war costs to Japan. October 16, 1905. Opening day of the climax of Indian people's struggle against English colonial regime, 1905–1908, starting from Bengal, emphasizing the law dividing Bengal, from there Swadeshi movement, boycotting Swadeshi branded goods, meaning only using Indian goods, and boycott movement, boycotting goods, education and laws of England, building independence, nation, self-strengthening. November 1905. Mutiny of sailors and Russian troops in Sevastopol. December 9, 1905. Armed uprising in Moscow peak of the Russian bourgeois democratic revolution, 1905–1907. 1907. Franco-Siamese Treaty. Siam ceded to France provinces Battambang, Siem Reap, Sisophon, on Cambodian land, in exchange for two areas, Trat and Dansai, on Thai land. According to two treaties, 1904 and 1907, Siam ceded to France 20,000 km² of land, but mostly belonging to Laotian and Cambodian territories. January 12, 1907. Revolutionary Korolev, Soviet Academy on Rocket Structure to Space. Born died 1–14–1966. 1909. Anglo-Siamese Treaty, Siam ceded to England Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah with area 40,000 km² on Malay territory. England abandoned building seaport and loaned Siam money to build railway across Malay Peninsula. 1910. Vajiralongkorn ascended the throne as King of Siam, as Rama VI, 1910–1925, still continued the reform path of Chulalongkorn. October 10, 1911. Uprising in Wuchang, quickly spreading to many provinces, cities in China, opening the Xinhai Revolution, 1911. November 2, 1911. In serious crisis due to Xinhai Revolution influence, Qing court appointed Yuan Shikai as Prime Minister and commander of troops aiming to save the Manchu dynasty from peril. January 1, 1912. Sun Yat-sen swore oath taking office as Provisional President of the Republic of China. February 12, 1912. Last Qing Emperor Puyi declared abdication. The Manchu feudal absolute monarchy collapsed after 268 years of existence, 1644–1912. February 15, 1912. Due to Sun Yat-sen's concession, Yuan Shikai took office as Provisional President of the Republic of China. July 30, 1912. Japanese Emperor Meiji passed away, 1852–1912. Crown Prince Yoshihito succeeded as Taisho. August 25, 1912. Established the Kuomintang on the foundation of the Chinese Revolutionary Alliance, under the leadership of Sun Yat-sen and Song Jiaoren. March 20, 1913. Song Jiaoren, leader of the Kuomintang, assassinated. June 28, 1914. Assassination of Austrian Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo, direct cause leading to World War I. July 28, 1914. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, opening World War I, 1914–1918, between the Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and the Entente, England, France, Russia, later plus USA, Japan. July 31, 1914. Jean Jaurès, 1859–1914, leader of French Socialist Party, fighter protecting peace against war, assassinated. August 1, 1914, Germany declared war on Russia. August 3, 1914, Germany declared war on France. August 4, 1914, England declared war on Germany. August 4, 1914, delegates of the German Social Democratic Party in Parliament voted in favor of war budget, supporting the imperialist war. Subsequently, delegates of the Social Democratic Party in England, France, also stood on their government's stance, participating in the war. In fact, Second International disintegrated. August 6, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Russia. August 15, 1914, opening of the Panama Canal, 79.6 km long, shortening the maritime route between Atlantic and Pacific. Panama Canal under U.S. operation and control, according to U.S. Panama Agreement, 1903. August 23, 1914, Japan declared war on Germany. October 29, 1914, Turkey participated in war on the side of Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Hungary, against Entente countries. May 23, 1915, Italy sided with Entente, participating in war against Austria. October 14, 1915, Bulgaria participated in war on the side of Central Powers. February 21, 1916, opening of Verdun campaign in France from February to December 1916. French troops thickened many layers attacking German troops into France, considered a heroic campaign of the French. August 27, 1916, Romania declared against Austria. Italy declared war against Germany. February 1, 1917, German Emperor Wilhelm II decided to conduct submarine warfare against Entente countries. March 12, 1917, February Revolution in Russia overthrew Tsar Nicholas II regime, established provisional government, Prime Minister Lvov, 3 1917, later Kerensky, 7 1917. April 6, 1917, United States declared participation in World War I, siding with Entente against Germany. April 24, 1917, V.I. Lenin presented at the 7th All-Russian Conference of the Bolsheviks the April Theses, affirming the slogan, "All Power to the Soviets." July 1917, Kingdom of Siam declared participation in World War I, siding with Entente, England, France, Russia, against Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Hungary. July 4, 1917, provisional government troops shot at the demonstration of workers, peasants, and soldiers in capital Petrograd, marking the revolution entering the phase of armed violent revolution uprising to seize power, 7-1917, 11-1917. July 26, 1917, 6th Congress of the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party passed resolution on preparing armed uprising to seize power.